Every single person, at some point in their life, encounters obstacles. These obstacles can be personal, professional, emotional, or even physical. Most people see these challenges as barriers, things that stand in the way of their progress, things that make life harder, things that in many cases make them want to give up. But the truth is, the way we perceive these challenges is what determines whether they stop us or push us forward. A challenge in itself has no meaning. It is neither good nor bad. It is our mindset that gives it meaning. And when we start seeing challenges as opportunities rather than setbacks, everything changes. Think about some of the most successful individuals in history, whether it's great entrepreneurs, world leaders, athletes, or artists. They didn't get to where they are because life was easy for them. They got there because when faced with difficulties, they asked a different question. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" they asked, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of fearing failure, they saw it as a necessary step toward mastery. Instead of avoiding obstacles, they embraced them as a chance to grow. Take Thomas Edison, for example. When inventing the light bulb, he failed thousands of times. If he had the mindset that most people have, that failure is bad, that failure means you're not good enough, he would have stopped after the first few attempts. But he didn't. Instead, he reframed his failures. He famously said, "I have not failed." The same concept applies in our everyday lives. Imagine you're working on a major project at work, and despite your best efforts, it doesn't go the way you planned. Maybe your boss isn't happy with it. Maybe the client rejects it. Maybe you even get criticized for it. Most people would take that personally. They would let that failure define them. But what if, instead of taking it as a personal defeat, you saw it as a chance to improve? What if you took the criticism as feedback, used it to refine your approach, and came back with something even better? That's what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's mindset. There's also a biological component to this. The human brain is wired for survival. When we face challenges, our instinct is to retreat, to protect ourselves, to avoid risk. But in today's world, survival is no longer about running from predators, it's about overcoming internal fears. When we lean into challenges instead of running from them, we rewire our brains. We develop resilience. We train ourselves to see struggle as a stepping stone instead of a stopping point. Think about elite athletes. A runner doesn't get faster by only running at a comfortable pace. They push themselves, they train harder, they embrace discomfort. That discomfort is what makes them better. The same is true in every area of life. If you only do what is easy, you will never grow. If you only take on tasks you're already good at, you will never improve. Growth comes from friction. Strength comes from resistance. And progress comes from facing, not avoiding, the very things that scare you. One of the most powerful ways to reframe challenges is through perspective shifts. Let's say you lose your job. Most people would immediately spiral into negativity, panic, stress, fear of the future. But what if you took a step back and asked yourself, how could this actually be an opportunity? Maybe this is the chance you've needed to finally start that business you've been dreaming of. Maybe this is the moment where you finally pivot into a career that aligns with your passions. Maybe losing your job wasn't a loss, but an opening to something greater. The same applies to any difficult situation. The way you frame it dictates the way you respond to it. One of the most effective strategies for embracing challenges as opportunities is asking empowering questions. Instead of saying, "Why me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" "Why is this happening?" Ask, "How can this make me better?" "What if I fail?" Ask, "What if I grow because of this?" Every challenge holds a hidden lesson. The key is whether or not you're willing to look for it. Instead of running from problems, sit with them. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Maybe it's patience, maybe it's resilience, maybe it's the courage to pivot when things aren't working. But there is always something to gain, no matter how difficult the situation. Another example of this mindset in action is in the world of entrepreneurship. Some of the most successful companies today started from failure. Take Airbnb, founded by two guys who couldn't afford their rent and decided to rent out an air mattress in their apartment. Most people would see their financial struggles a reason to give up, but they saw it as an opportunity. They turned their challenge into a billion-dollar company. The same thing happened with Steve Jobs. After being fired from Apple, the very company he started, he could have seen it as the end. Instead, he used it as a time to learn, innovate, and eventually return stronger than ever. What these stories teach us is that challenges don't define us. How we react to them does. The same setback that makes one person quit can make another person unstoppable. The difference? Mindset? So the next time you find yourself facing adversity, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is not the end. This is not a failure. This is not a sign to stop. This is an opportunity. It's a chance to learn, a chance to grow, a chance to become better than you were before. The most powerful people in the world, the most successful individuals in every industry, all have one thing in common. They don't avoid challenges, they embrace them. They don't fear obstacles, they see them as opportunities. And when you adopt that same mindset, you open the door to a world of limitless potential. One of the most powerful mindset shifts you can make in life is transitioning from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. The way you see the world, whether you believe there's enough success, opportunity, and resources to go around, or whether you believe that everything is limited and must be fought for, dictates not just your success, but your happiness, your relationships, and your overall sense of fulfillment. The scarcity mindset is what holds most people back, keeping them stuck in fear, competition, and insecurity. But the abundance mindset, that's what opens doors, creates possibilities, and leads to lasting success. A scarcity mindset is rooted in fear, the fear that there's not enough to go around. It's the belief that if someone else wins, it means you lose. It's the idea that success is a limited resource, that money is scarce, that opportunities are rare. People with a scarcity mindset often feel threatened by others' achievements. They see someone getting a promotion and think, that could have been me. They see someone launching a successful business and assume, now there's no room for me in that industry. They operate from a place of limitation, and because of that, they make decisions based on fear. Think about how this plays out in everyday life. Imagine two coworkers are up for a promotion. One operates with a scarcity mindset. They see the promotion as a once-in-a-lifetime chance, something they must fight for at all costs. This makes them feel tense, insecure, and even resentful of their colleague. They withhold information, refuse to collaborate, and see their coworker as an enemy rather than a teammate. Now, imagine the other person operates with an abundance mindset. They believe that even if they don't get this promotion, other opportunities will come. They see their coworker's success as proof that success is possible, not as a threat. Because they operate with trust and collaboration, they work with confidence, not fear. Who do you think performs better? Who do you think builds stronger relationships, gains more respect, and ultimately grows into a better leader? The answer is obvious. The one who approaches the situation with an abundance mindset. This shift is just as crucial in business. Many struggling businesses fail not because their product is bad, but because they are too focused on competition rather than value. They operate under the assumption that for their business to succeed, others must fail. They hoard knowledge, refuse to collaborate, and make decisions based on fear rather than innovation. But the most successful companies don't see competition as a threat, they see it as a sign that there's a market for their ideas. They focus on creating value rather than protecting what they have. They understand that there's always room to innovate, grow, and serve more people. A perfect example of the abundance mindset in action is the technology industry. Look at Apple and Microsoft, two of the biggest competitors in the world. In the past, they fought aggressively for market dominance, operating under the belief that one must win and one must lose. But over time, they realized that they could actually collaborate in certain areas. Microsoft started making software for Apple's products, and both companies benefited. The same thing happened with Netflix and Amazon. Instead of seeing each other as mortal enemies, they found ways to coexist and even leverage each other's platforms to grow. Abundance isn't just about business and career, it's about relationships too. A scarcity mindset creates jealousy, comparison, and resentment. When you believe that love, friendship, and respect are limited resources, you become possessive and fearful. You constantly compare yourself to others, worried that their success makes you less valuable. But when you embrace abundance, you realize that life is not a zero-sum game. Someone else's happiness doesn't take away from your own. Someone else's success doesn't make you any less capable. The more you celebrate and uplift others, the more positivity and success come back to you. One of the biggest obstacles to shifting into an abundance mindset is deeply ingrained conditioning. From a young age, we're taught to compete. Schools reward students who beat their classmates. Job promotions often go to those who outshine others. Society tells us that if we don't fight for our piece of the pie, we'll be left with nothing. But the truth is, the pie is not finite. Success is not something that runs out. There is always more wealth to create, more opportunities to seize, more impact to make. The key is believing that and acting accordingly. So how do you make this shift? It starts with awareness. The next time you find yourself feeling threatened by someone else's success, pause. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Instead of thinking, that should have been me, try thinking, if they did it, that means I can too. If you feel like there aren't enough opportunities, remind yourself opportunities are not found, they are created. Instead of hoarding knowledge or resources out of fear, share them. Give freely, collaborate, and trust that what you give will come back to you in unexpected ways. Another powerful exercise is gratitude. The more you focus on what you already have, the more you realize how abundant life truly is. Every morning, take a moment to reflect on what you are grateful for: your health, your skills, your relationships, your potential. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's possible, and that simple shift changes everything. Think about this. Have you ever noticed that people who are generous seem to attract even more abundance? The business person who mentors others ends up with a stronger network. The leader who uplifts their team ends up with greater loyalty and support. The person who gives without expecting anything in return often receives more than they ever imagined. This is the essence of abundance. The more you believe in it, the more it manifests in your life. At the end of the day, an abundance mindset is about trust in yourself. Trust in the world. Trust that there is more than enough to go around. It's about shifting from fear to possibility, from competition to collaboration, from scarcity to growth. Once you make this shift, everything changes. You stop seeing life as a battle to be won and start seeing it as an adventure to be explored. You stop fearing what others might take from you and start focusing on what you can create. You stop thinking in terms of limits and start thinking in terms of infinite potential. Because the truth is, the world is abundant. Opportunity is abundant. Success is abundant. The only question is, do you believe it? There are two types of mindsets that shape the way people experience life: the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. The difference between the two is not intelligence, talent, or background. It's simply the way we choose to view our abilities, challenges, and potential. A fixed mindset assumes that we are born with certain skills, intelligence, and talents, and that these cannot be changed. A growth mindset, on the other hand, believes that abilities can be developed through effort, learning, and perseverance. The moment you shift from a fixed to a growth mindset, you unlock an entirely new level of potential. A fixed mindset creates limitations. People who think this way avoid challenges because they fear failure will expose their weaknesses. They hesitate to try new things because they don't want to risk looking incompetent. They compare themselves to others and assume that success is determined by natural talent. This kind of thinking holds people back, keeping them stuck in their current abilities rather than striving for improvement. On the other hand, a growth mindset thrives on challenges. People with this mentality understand that every skill, every talent, and every ability can be developed over time. They don't see intelligence as something fixed, they see it as something expandable. When they fail, they don't interpret it as a reflection of their worth, they see it as a necessary step toward mastery. This principle applies to every aspect of life. Think about elite athletes. No Olympic champion was born with a gold medal around their neck. They spent years, even decades, training, failing, adjusting, and improving. They didn't become great overnight. If they had a fixed mindset, they would have quit the moment they encountered difficulty. But they knew that progress comes through perseverance. A prime example of this is Michael Jordan. Many people see him as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but few realize that he was actually cut from his high school basketball team. A person with a fixed mindset might have taken that as proof that they weren't good enough, but Jordan used it as fuel. He worked harder, trained longer, and refused to accept that his talent was predetermined. He proved that greatness is built through effort, not just natural ability. The same is true in business. Many people assume that successful entrepreneurs are born with some special gift. But if you look at the most influential business leaders, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Oprah Winfrey, you'll see that their success didn't come from being naturally gifted. It came from years of trial and error, learning from failure and adapting to new circumstances. A growth mindset allows people to see obstacles as learning experiences rather than roadblocks. A major part of adopting a growth mentality is changing your relationship with failure. People with a fixed mindset see failure as proof that they are not good enough. They take it personally. But people with a growth mindset see failure as feedback. They analyze what went wrong, make adjustments, and try again. Every failure is a lesson in disguise. One of the most powerful ways to shift into a growth mindset is by embracing the word yet. Instead of saying, I can't do this, say I can't do this yet. That single word changes everything. It leaves room for growth, for learning, for the possibility that improvement is always available to you. Think about young children learning to walk. When they fall, they don't sit on the ground and say, well, I guess I'm just not good at walking. They get back up and try again. They keep going until they master it. That is the essence of a growth mindset, an innate belief that progress is always possible if you keep going. Take learning an instrument. If someone picks up a guitar and struggles to play a chord, a fixed mindset might say, I'll never be good at this. But a growth mindset recognizes that struggling is part of the process. No musician starts out playing perfectly. They understand that practice is what leads to skill, not natural-born talent. A powerful tool for cultivating a growth mindset is reframing negative thoughts. Instead of saying, I'm just not good at this, try saying, what can I do to improve? Instead of thinking, I always mess up, say, mistakes help me learn. Instead of assuming, I'll never be successful, shift to, success is a process and I'm on my way. The way you talk to yourself directly impacts your mindset, and your mindset shapes your reality. Feedback is another essential part of growth. People with a fixed mindset often avoid feedback because they see it as criticism. They feel personally attacked when someone points out their mistakes, but people with a growth mindset welcome feedback because they see it as an opportunity to improve. They seek out mentors, ask for advice, and use constructive criticism to refine their skills. One of the most inspiring examples of this is in the tech world. When Elon Musk was working on Tesla, he didn't just surround himself with people who agreed with him. He actively sought out criticism, asking people what was wrong with his ideas rather than just looking for praise. That willingness to receive feedback and make adjustments is a defining trait of a growth mindset. The final component of developing a growth mentality is commitment to lifelong learning. The most successful people in the world never stop learning. They read books, take courses, ask questions, and constantly seek ways to expand their knowledge. They don't see intelligence as something fixed, they see it as something that grows with effort. Shifting into a growth mindset isn't about pretending failure doesn't exist or ignoring challenges. It's about recognizing that every struggle, every mistake, and every setback is part of the journey toward improvement. It's about understanding that effort is what leads to mastery, not just talent. It's about choosing to see potential instead of limits. One of the most transformative shifts in mindset is learning to see challenges not as obstacles but as opportunities for growth, innovation, and personal development. The way we perceive difficulty determines whether we rise to the occasion or retreat in fear. Most people see challenges as threats, something to avoid, something that signals failure, something that makes them question their abilities. But the truth is, challenges are the very thing that shape us, strengthen us, and push us to new levels of success. The key is in how we frame them. When faced with a difficult situation, most people's immediate reaction is frustration, stress, or even self-doubt. They ask, why is this happening to me? Or what if I can't handle this? These thoughts create a victim mentality, making it seem like challenges are unfair burdens rather than essential stepping stones to growth. But those with a powerful mindset ask a different question. What can I learn from this? Or how is this challenge making me stronger? The moment you reframe a challenge as an opportunity, you take back control. Instead of feeling helpless, you feel empowered. Instead of resisting, you embrace the challenge as a teacher. Every major breakthrough in life, whether in business, relationships, or personal development, comes from overcoming a challenge. Consider some of the world's greatest innovators. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before successfully inventing the light bulb. Each failure could have been seen as proof that he wasn't capable, but instead he reframed every failed attempt as a lesson. He famously said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset is what separates those who give up from those who create lasting success. Challenges are not dead ends, they are lessons in disguise. A challenge forces you to think differently. When everything is easy and predictable, there's little motivation to innovate or push beyond what's comfortable. But when an obstacle arises, it forces creativity, problem solving, and resilience. Think about how some of the most successful businesses were born out of difficult times. Airbnb was created during the 2008 financial crisis when people were struggling to afford housing and travel. Instead of seeing the crisis as a disaster, its founders saw an opportunity to create an entirely new way for people to stay in affordable accommodations. That business model, which was once seen as risky, revolutionized the travel industry. The same principle applies in everyday life. Imagine an athlete who suffers a major injury. A fixed mindset might say, "My career is over." But someone who reframes the challenge will say, "This is my opportunity to come back even stronger." Many professional athletes have used setbacks as fuel for growth. When Michael Phelps faced burnout and struggled with mental health issues, he could have walked away from the sport. Instead, he used the challenge as an opportunity to develop mental resilience, seek support, and ultimately return to dominate the Olympics once again. Challenges don't just push us to grow, they reveal who we really are. When things go smoothly, it's easy to maintain confidence and optimism. But when life throws obstacles in your path, that's when your true character is tested. Do you panic? Do you give up? Or do you find a way forward? The way you handle adversity determines your success more than talent or intelligence ever will. One of the most effective ways to reframe challenges is to shift from a problem-focused mindset to a solution-focused mindset. Many people spend too much time dwelling on the problem, complaining, overanalyzing, or feeling stuck. But successful individuals train themselves to immediately shift into solution mode. Instead of saying, "This is impossible," they ask, "What are my options?" Instead of focusing on what's wrong, they focus on what can be done. This simple shift changes everything. Imagine you're working on a project and suddenly everything goes wrong, the deadline moves up. Key resources are unavailable, and your team is under pressure. A problem-focused person will say, "This is unfair, we're doomed." But a solution-focused person will ask, "What can we adjust? What's within our control? How can we make this work?" The ability to focus on solutions rather than problems is what separates leaders from those who stay stuck. Another powerful way to reframe challenges is to view them as opportunities for growth and skill development. Every difficult situation strengthens a skill, whether it's resilience, patience, strategic thinking, or emotional intelligence. For example, if you struggle with public speaking and you're suddenly asked to give a presentation, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But rather than seeing it as something to fear, reframe it as a chance to build confidence. Instead of avoiding the challenge, embrace it as an opportunity to improve. Reframing challenges also applies to relationships. Many people see conflict as a negative thing, as something to avoid. But the truth is, conflict presents an opportunity for deeper understanding, better communication, and stronger connections. When two people face a disagreement, they have a choice. They can see it as a frustrating problem, or they can see it as a chance to grow, to listen, and to build a healthier dynamic. The strongest relationships aren't the ones without challenges, they're the ones where both people learn and grow through challenges together. Fear is one of the biggest reasons people resist challenges. The fear of failure, embarrassment, or discomfort keeps people stuck in their comfort zones. But if you look at the most successful people in any field, they are the ones who have leaned into fear rather than running from it. They understand that fear is just an indicator that they are stepping into something meaningful. The greatest growth always comes from discomfort. One strategy for overcoming fear is visualization. Instead of imagining everything that could go wrong, visualize yourself handling the challenge successfully. Imagine yourself overcoming the obstacle, learning from it, and emerging stronger. Your brain believes what you repeatedly tell it. So training your mind to see challenges as opportunities rather than threats rewires the way you respond to adversity. Gratitude is another powerful tool for reframing challenges. It may seem counterintuitive to be grateful for obstacles, but the reality is challenges are what lead to the greatest breakthroughs in life. If you reflect on your past struggles, you'll likely realize that many of them were turning points, moments that led to unexpected growth, new opportunities, and a stronger version of yourself. The next time you face a challenge, instead of resenting it, ask yourself, how will this make me better?